Okay, good. We're recording theoretically. And the purpose of this seminar is ideally, if you have a problem technique or technique with a problem, to hopefully we can find a solution for it. I think, Paul, you came to me ahead of time with did you come to me with the Uranagi?
That's right, yes.
Okay. And that was for a improper armbar or arm lock with the other hand on the shoulder from
That's
behind.
correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question to you is, what specifically are you having a problem with on it?
All right. I'm not understanding. Once I've blocked with my left hand from the right straight punch, once I block that, I'm not too sure if my right hand goes over my left hand or comes under my left hand to grab. So if I've blocked, I don't know if I'm coming under or if I need to come over. Once I've deflected the right straight punch.
Okay, are you talking? Okay, this is what confused me, because the technique you had on page 80 of the
That's correct.
techniques.
Yes, that's right. Yes, in that book, page 80.
Yeah, that one is. There are two in there. One was for a. Oh, I said, okay, very good. What happens is let's see here. The right hand comes up and grabs, the left hand comes over. Or is it?
All right, so I'll block with my right hand.
Yeah, let me check this for sure here. Yeah, yes, it's the right hand grabs his left shoulder. Your
Okay.
right hand comes over, grabs his right shoulder. Because as
Okay.
you come over, then then you're okay. If you put it underneath and you try and take him over.
Not going to be able to do that, yes.
Yeah,
okay, so it's going to be over. But now, what I need clarity on, I see my camera's reversed me. I don't know how to make it the right way around. But if I'm blocking with my left hand from the right punch, then I would grab, turn, drop to my left knee, and take him over my right shoulder. I'm assuming that's correct.
Okay, that would be here. You'd be turning to your left and down onto your right knee as you bring him down and over.
All right. Okay, now that's simple.
Okay, from here, because you've got both of your hands on the back of his gi.
Yes.
And you would have to pull him up.
Yes.
And as you rotate him around, your left arm is going to go over his head, come under, and then you.
Oh, okay.
And then
I'm going to execute the choke.
Pardon?
Then I will execute the choke.
Right. Okay. And the choke can be done in one of a couple ways. You can either pull across, or you can pull it down into you. What you can also do, which is not in the book, is which you have to be careful with, is you get the back of his head resting on your chest, and you just bring this into you and lean forward.
All right. So we give him apply neck pressure.
Yeah. Which is probably easier to do for a person who isn't that strong, because this may not work, but this will.
Okay, yeah, I'm understanding that. That makes absolute sense.
Yeah, that's one of the. If I get to do my next book, it's just gonna be loaded with these little subtle things you can do that make techniques a lot easier.
Yes.
Seki used to call it cheating. But okay,
Forgive me for asking what might be a very dumb question. Is this the technique where we typically parry and step behind them, grab the gi, and then throw them?
Yeah.
Is there a technique number in the big book or a reference, or which technique are we talking about here?
This would be in Jiu-Jitsu intermediate. It would be on page 80. Shoulder grab.
I've got all the books out here except those.
Do you have that book?
Yeah, well, I can get it in a heartbeat. I'm going to run and get it, so I'm up to speed with you guys.
I'll give you a cross reference. Don't go anywhere. No.
He just wants to get his book. In fact, what I'm going to be doing next week, I am giving close protection officers training, and this is one of the techniques that we're going to cover with them. I think, like I explained, and maybe the guys that don't know, I'm in South Africa, and so we have a lot of violent encounters here. So we need to obviously know how to manage those situations, and this looks like a good technique that I can give to the close protection officers for managing and controlling and getting a person under control.
What I was recommending on this, in our dojo, we have people who will do that parry, and then they'll reach across and they try to grab this way. You're far better off grabbing this way with this to gain control.
Okay.
And as you turn, grab here and then bring him over. This works, this doesn't. And
all right.
you see Sensei
so
Kirby,
that way around.
Sensei Kirby is demonstrating that very well in the picture. When the third photograph, he's grabbing over like this. And it's important to get students to grasp that way, not this way. And there's a tendency for people to want to do that.
Yeah. The reason you don't grab, and this comes from, and I've seen it in judo more than jiu-jitsu, for Moto Seonagi, which is a two-handed shoulder wheel throw, where they'll come in with their right hand palm up, grabbing the gi from underneath the collar, and they'll try to pull. And the problem, you can see the problem right there. If you try grab backwards and try and pull, it's a good way to get your wrist broken, sprained, or whatever else. And that's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason you grab. Even with the for Moroto Seonagi two-handed shoulder wheel throw, you always grab the gi from on top, because that way rather than pulling, you can push, and you can put your body behind it, and you have a lot more going for you. Also, if it helps if you rotate rather than trying to stretch out.
Absolutely. The only other thing that we found in our dojo is that when you do that grab, that's also a strike.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're hitting hard when you do that grab to stun, to buy more time, because this is a technique that can take more time than a lot of techniques, just because you're getting behind him. You got that smack, and then you grab, and that if that stuns them, then the extra time that this takes to set this technique up can mitigate any kind of chance that they have to try to resist or spin out of it or such, such as that.
Yeah. Well, this grab is kind of a basic grab from behind that we'll use for the shoulder rear throw. I've used it for doing a hip throw backwards, in which case you have to be very careful throwing the uke. Taitosh backwards. Almost any basic judo throw, if you want to throw the person backwards, this is the hand grip you work from. Because once you get behind the person, they're toast.
Awesome. No, that makes sense. Just talking it through, My son and I have been working on the throw, and that was just the hand grab. Now that I know to grab the other way, I think that'll make life a lot simpler for me.
Yeah.
So thank you for that input. That was valuable.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, that's just it's just a reach. But the problem is most people will want to reach this way, which
Yes.
doesn't work.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. I can understand that.
So, oh, we got 3 more people here. Bear with me. Been talking so much, I've ignored everybody. Okay, we have Danny, Will, and Dr. Jones. We should have about 10 or 11 people. Interesting how everyone checks to make sure things are working.
Okay.
George, morning.
Click close. Up top. Up top.
That one.
There you go. Yep. There you go.
Okay, here we are. I guess we're
Yes,
two of us.
Robert Jones, and this is Will. Which one is Will? Where's Will?
I'm right here.
There he
Oh,
is.
there's Will. Okay, the troika. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what's next? Oh,
You and I-
Will had a question. Do you want me to answer the question here, Will?
Sure.
Okay. Will asked what was the technique that I have seen probably change the most in all my years. I would probably go to Karate Makikomi body winding throw. The way I teach it is, and I wish I had an uke, it would make life a lot easier. But if you're familiar from my videos, or you know that it's a wind and you lean forward and you're either around his head or over his shoulder. And the trick is not to bend as you lean forward without bending and turn to your left. And if you do it right and have faith in yourself, you will land right next to him or on his chest. It's a really hard fall. I've seen revisions in it in other systems where they now, it's almost an over the shoulder drop throw where they still grab on, but they drop down to their right knee and the uke basically goes over your right shoulder. And they still call that a Karate Makikomi body winding throw. Whereas we call it, it's just a variation of the drop throw as far as I'm concerned. And that's probably the major change. And I understand it to some extent because some instructors way back when the change was made, there was a concern at the high injury rate on ukes.
Understandable.
But in 53 years, I've never had a student injured with it. Mainly because they probably learned how to fall in ki. So that's probably the one I've seen the most significant change in the throw. I wish I had an uke here. Wish everybody had an uke. It would. You have an uke.
I do.
Hey, Mr. Jones, do you have any questions? We don't want your uke to get bored back there.
None really. I'm here to listen and learn. So it's just
Okay. Well, you know, I'm kind of dependent on what people are throwing at me. So, pardon the pun.
Sensei, on the Karate Makikomi, in our dojo to minimize injury, because you can fall with all of your body weight on that person's body weight. I mean, on that person. So they got the ground on one side and your body weight on the other, and everything's collapsing to the ground at the same time. What we've done to minimize injury on that is just for people to go down slowly on purpose, or also for Tori to plan on landing on their elbow on our soft mats, on our crash mats.
What?
Both of those have made this a popular technique and minimized injury in our dojo.
Yeah, we'll execute it slowly. I've seen it done fast.
Oh, that sounds painful just hearing you say it.
Now, what I will also, I mean, when I'm teaching it, I'll also keep my right arm extended so that my right palm open makes contact with the ground, so that I can use my elbow as sort of a spring for me, so I don't land on the person. And that works as a pretty good. The first time I throw a person, they're pretty apprehensive, but after they realize I'm not going to land on them, it kind of, you know, they relax a lot more. I've seen the makikomi done, and I haven't taught it this way in years, but when I taught in junior high, I put a sweep with it, so you'd have a hari makikomi.
Ooh.
And that could be a really hard fall. And taking it one step further, when we used to have freestyle kata competition, one section of, was it, you know, how fast from body contact to submission could you go? Some of the brown belts, they just, they went to the hari makikomi with a figure 4 armbar, and they'd have the opponent tapping out before they hit the mat. And so that ends the doing the technique for time, because no one could move their thumb fast enough on the stopwatch.
Sorry, is there a reference for this technique we're discussing, just so I can reference it?
With the what?
This technique that we've just discussed. Is it in which book, or where would I find that technique?
Karate makikomi, body winding throw. That should be
Intermediate.
It's in your video series, video 3, number 10, and video 8, number 19.
All right, I will have a look at that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
Yes, sir.
I don't think in either case it's shown as a hari makikomi. But one thing you have to realize, most basic judo throws, you can find a way to add a sweep to it.
Yes.
And that's why the core techniques are so important, because I've had students that come up with combinations I have never seen, and they're really easy to teach. And you, with advanced students, you have to allow them to do that. That's part of their learning process. But anyway, okay.
Another answer to your question, sir, is on the basic book, page 58, it has a juji, but let's see, 37, it's 37. The basic book, page 76, has a karate makikomi, and that would be the one we're talking about here.
All right.
Okay, 58 in the basic.
76 in the basic book, makikomi with armbar.
Okay, I'm looking at the expanded edition. Are you in the?
I'm in the original one. Body winding throw, armbar to shoulder lock pin. That would be page 76. In the expanded, I don't have that page number handy right now.
Okay, just a second.
I'm showing my age. I apologize.
That's the edition I've got.
Some of you should get in touch with either Michael Dillard at Century Martial Arts or Robert Young at Black Belt and say, put all my books together into one huge, a lot easier to find things. Okay, yeah, I see it on page 76 in the original.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that armbar is a good technique to do with the makikomi. But anyway,
And
now,
here it looks like in the fifth picture, you're landing more on your elbow and less on his body. All you got to do is arch your back and lean back, and your chest lands on, your back lands on his chest. And that knocks the wind right out of him. It would knock, yeah, it would take the fight out of him too. And the fifth picture here, you can see that you're being very considerate to your uke, and that's where you see how your right elbow is on the ground.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the elbow thing we were talking about, landing on the elbow instead of putting our back on their chest.
yeah. Well, that was done for the book's sake because we're on mats. But if you don't, the problem with coming down on your elbow is if you have to do that on hard ground, you run a high risk of damaging your elbow. Put it politely.
Absolutely.
And you know your uke has to be willing to take some physical abuse because you know if he's doing his job, he's going to give it back to you. And that's part of the learning process.
Yep.
Yes.
You have to know what a technique feels like.
Yes.
You know how when we set an arm bar, we just push our hips forward? Essentially, when you do this throw, if you push your hips forward, then you will land with your body weight on them.
Yeah.
And, you know, delivering that is a whole lot more fun than receiving it.
Okay. We have, who's here? I just asked Danny to unmute. Where's Danny? Danny doesn't have,
Here, George. Can you hear us now?
is this Danny?
Yes.
Okay, I have no picture for you.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on with the video.
It's me and Paul. That's weird.
Let me stop video,
Oh, there he is.
start video again.
No, that's not yet.
Anything yet? No?
Nope, no picture.
No video for some reason.
Jeez.
Just a little yellow bar at the bottom. Anyone have any other questions on any particular techniques or something you'd like to see in a future workshop?
Sensei Kirby, I have a question.
Yes.
TJ. So you know I'm coming from a different Jujitsu background, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the importance of, and I'll say it straightforward and then I'll explain it, of moving past the block to get to the throw. For example, on Osotogari, when I'm looking at your book, I have the Kindle location, the basic techniques book, Kindle location 761, and I see the block happening of a right punch, and then stepping through, setting up for the sweep and the drop.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I'm noticing is happening in my technique instruction over the years. So when I started teaching back in the 90s, I did not spend much time focusing on the components. I was saying do the block to get to the throw. Now I find myself doing what Mr. Clark did there just a minute ago, expanding those techniques and saying, well, you actually have a strike here. And if you do this right, it can stop the technique. Maybe hitting the opponent when they throw the punch with such force with your strike makes it where you don't need to step through for the throw. In my mind, though, what's happening is I feel like I'm no longer teaching jujitsu. I'm teaching some variation of kenpo or karate because I tend to have become very linear and focused. And I just want to hear your thoughts on, there are lots of things happening in a technique, but if we're jujitsu, we're really trying to get to the jujitsu piece. I just love to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay. Can approach this from many directions. Essentially, the purpose of a hit is a distraction, or anything you do initially is supposed to be a distraction from what you really want to do, so that you can do whatever you want to do a lot easier. Okay. For an asotogari, for a hit and going into an asotogari, I'll deflect the hit to the left and go in and do the asotogari. All I have to do is move that hit. You know, most of us think and Mark Tucker really says this well. He says, most of us don't have heads that are as big as we think they are. And so if you can move the hit just 3 or 4 inches one direction or another, it's going to miss your head. Okay. And so the purpose of the block essentially is it's a deflection so that you can get inside. Now, if you also want to come in and do a strike to the solar plexus, see, the problem is once you add, if you're trying to do an asotogari, the purpose of the asotogari is to take the person, have him fall backwards. Okay. If you do a strike to the solar plexus, it's going to cause him to bring his head forward. Okay. So if you're going to hit the person, I would probably recommend a palm strike under the jaw, because we want his head to go backwards, because the basic judo rule is a person's body will go in whatever direction their head is going. Okay, so that's kind of your key to, you know, where do you want this person to go? I have seen, and it happened once at the junior high school where it's taught, one of my kids, he was a brown belt, and if we didn't have one good fight a week at the junior high school, there was something seriously wrong. And he thought he had talked his way out of the fight, which was the right thing to do. But by that time, there were a couple 300 kids around and a bunch of teachers, and he turned and walked away, which was his mistake. And the other kid came at him from behind with a roundhouse, which he happened to see. You know, peripheral vision. He just turned and blocked it. It broke the other kid's arm. That ended the fight. By district policy, if 2 people are involved in a fight, both are supposed to be suspended. I went to the kid's defense, as did a number of other teachers. We simply said, he didn't fight. Hit. And the administration got it, and you know, paramedics took one kid to the hospital and the other kid stayed in school. But you know, so a block can be as hard as you want it to be. It really depends on what your intent is. If you really want to stop a hit, and this is hard to show without an uke, Robert, is it possible to use your uke in the background?
Sure.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to be facing each other. Okay, now, and your uke is going to swing at you with his right hand. Okay, now, okay. Right now, most of the time we block around the forearm somewhere, because that's the easiest thing to do. However, if you want to be really aggressive with this and just stop the momentum of the hit,
Actually struck with a
what I have to do is
head now.
okay. Have your uke step back up. This time when he hits Robert, I want you to aggressively step in and block at his right upper arm before it gets even with the line of his shoulder. Okay. Okay. Now, see, his arm came forward too much. You got to block him a little more aggressively. But you're gonna notice that the uke will get knocked backwards regardless. Okay, go again.
I said, yeah, just come in up high.
Better. Okay. But what happens if you can block their arm before it's in line with, I wish my arm would stop disappearing.
More than here.
Okay. If you can block their arm before this all is a straight line.
Have a third uke here.
Back, if it's back further, the impact of his hip will be reversed and he'll simply knock himself backwards. And now we're getting better. Very good, Robert. Who's the head sensei there?
That's my dog Kona. So I have 3 Rottweilers, but she's the one that loves to come to the studio all the time.
Does he protect everyone in the dojo?
Yeah, she just loves everybody. So
Okay.
he loves her. So she's sort of our mascot there.
Tom, does that take care of the issue?
That does. I think I appreciate all of the explanation, but remembering that you're trying to get to the throw, so do what gets you to the throw.
Whatever technique you're trying to get to, you do whatever is necessary to get there. I mean, I know I would, because at that junior high school, I had no problems putting hands on kids and to break up fights and stuff like that, and I never hurt a kid. I would simply, my decision was I'd get around behind them, usually the kid that was losing. Okay, here's the rationale. Okay, and it's worthwhile for Paul. The person who's winning a fight usually is more aware of their presence and what's going on. And the person losing the fight is just, they're doing the best they can to survive. And so if you take the person that's out that's losing, that other person sometimes will back off because they realize the fight's over.
Okay.
And so I would usually go after the loser. Because it's just, but you have to decide, if you can do that in a street situation, if you can decide what you're going to do, then you're better off. Many times it's just automatic reaction though. And I've had to use automatic reaction, and you pick up the pieces afterwards. And sometimes while you're in the process of doing your technique and you realize, okay, the situation isn't what I thought it was, you can change or modify what you're doing to suit the situation.
Absolutely.
And that's where the training comes in. Hey, any other? Danny, we still have no picture. Are the lights on where you're at?
Yes, they are. We're still trying to figure it out. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, the camera just doesn't want to come up. Is the audio okay though?
Yeah, everybody can hear you fine. So.
Yeah, just can't seem to get the video to work.
If it's the laptop.
It could be my laptop.
So Danny, can you see us?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see you guys just fine.
Okay. So if you have a question, you can ask it.
Okay, I was gonna ask about the belt throw or the obinagi, as far as a front headlock or guillotine choke.
Sensei Kirby.
Yeah.
Before we go to the obinagi, I had a quick thing to offer while we're on a Soto Gari. It's one of our favorite Soto Garis in our dojo, but I need to go get my bride Marie. That's why Marie's down in the corner and my name there. I can get her to uki this for me, okay? And just share with you guys an Osotogari that's off of a grab, a lapel grab. That's a favorite in our dojo. I think you guys might like this technique. If you got just a moment, I can get the reader.
Okay, let's.
Great. She's coming in. On the Osotogari, if she grabs me right here, okay, to control me and get ready to throw a punch, before she throws that punch, if I pull down on this arm, it pulls her in, and then if I push back on her like this, I go into that Osotogari, bang. So she's already leaning backwards, is she? Thank you.
Sort of what we do. That's what we do, sort of out of a punch. We'll block high on the forearm, heel palm to the head, and then move in for the Osotogari.
Oh, so you're saying that with a punch, you block out, and then heel palm up to the chin.
Yeah.
It gets them going backwards. Thank you. I hadn't thought about doing that off of a punch. That's a great idea. The pulling down actually pulls them towards you, so they're coming towards you as you're doing this. And, and at that point, the trip is yours. The Osotogari, you own them. Yeah.
If you hook the wrist and pull down, you'll get the same effect.
Thank you. I'm going to make a note doing that off a punch. That's a great idea.
These are all variations of the technique, and when I block as Robert did for the hit in Osotogari, Robert, you probably, am I correct? You stepped in with your right leg.
Actually, I do. When I do the Osotogari, if I'm going there, I'll hit, but I hit pressure points. So by the time I hit the pressure points, the arm is dead. And at that point, it becomes an easy grab and pull, hook at the wrist, heel palm, and then I go through the Osotogari. That's how.
If I do the Osotogari, when I block, I'll take about a half step in with my left foot. And by the time I've made body contact, either with a strike or it could even be my right arm is going to go over the left side of his neck.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, I've already moved in to where I am, where his y-axis was. So I've knocked him off balance already before I've even quote unquote
exactly
technique.
Yes.
And you know, these are all variations and different ways of doing the same thing.
Yes.
And they're all legit. So anyway.
Danny, I apologize. I interrupted. You wanted to go to Obinagi, Danny?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was just asking, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, just as far as the roll back, obviously you try to roll to the opposite side. So positives versus negatives as far as.
Okay, are we talking Obinagi here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, which I hate to ask which one.
From a tackle, from like a waist tackle.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for Obinagi, someone comes to the tackle. You're just going to grab you're grabbing their belt, pulling them over as you go down. Recommendation is don't pull them straight over your head. If you're using your right arm, you pull them slightly to your right. Left arm is slightly to your left so they don't land on, you know, it reduces the possibility of them landing on your head. But and then once you have them over, if you can, is there a reference to it in one of the books?
We don't have that in front of us right now, but I'm pretty sure there is.
Yeah. I'm just trying to visualize it. You pull them over.
Yes, sir.
You then got to rotate him. I would think you've got to rotate him around so that he's on his stomach and your other hand comes in, chokes. around
you have the choking hand and then the belt grab.
with your chest on the back of his head. I'm just trying to visualize that somehow.
So safer for the neck rolling on the same side as the head, correct?
Hey, Ree,
But I'm guessing here because I'm not exactly sure.
hey, Ree, my audio's going. My audio's going.
I think Dave's going to end up sleeping in the garage tonight.
my audio's going. It came back in just so I could hear that one-liner. It said I'm sleeping in the garage tonight. My audio is fading in and out. I was just checking it, that's all.
Okay. Okay, if we,
If no one else has anything, I have a question on the Mayu Shiro Nagi. I would love to know how other sensei teach this technique. If you guys have a way of teaching the forward rear throw that you found particularly effective.
okay, is there a reference to it so I know which, or?
Okay, hold on just a second. Yeah, let me get this out of my.
For some reason, my name is not seen on the screen, but I'm Joni Rasmussen from Finland also. I couldn't get my name on the screen. I don't know if Judge Kirby heard that.
Okay, we've got your sound now.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't figure out so well what all the buttons were on the tablet. So, but I couldn't get my name on the screen. So, but it's Joni Rasmussen from Finland, Kyokuai Jujitsu.
Johnny, right, okay. Okay, so
The Mayu Shiro Nagi is video 4, number 1. It's number 41 in my chart, and let me find out what book that would be in.
Dave Clark is the ultimate resource person. And I'm not trying to belittle him, but he has organized this material so well.
Okay, Mayu Shiro Nagi is on page 124
Of which
of the regular book, the intermediate book.
124, the intermediate book.
Yes, sir. Forward rear throw.
Oh, that's a fun one.
In our dojo, this has been an enigma for years.
Right.
We've come up with a variation we like, but I'm sure that you guys have something that could teach us
That's a wrist throw.
yet a better way to do this technique. This requires a whole lot of ki.
Yes.
And so much so that we find that we can get the downward, but when we get the lift and the forward, a lot of times people just step into it and they don't do the forward fall. They just walk out of it, step out of it. So
Okay.
the technique fails.
Can I say something about the technique? There are some techniques that Seki taught that were purely for development of key skills, sensing the other person's energy and direction they're going, and this is one of those techniques. I would probably never use this technique on the street. What it does, or for lack of a better phrase, the key to this technique is you're initially blocking that hit, which stops the forward momentum, and then you lift that arm up until you sense resistance. And once you sense resistance, then you can pull it out and downward and do the technique, assuming you have a cooperative uke.
Yes.
That's like I said, I would, there are techniques he taught, and he would even say, this is just for key practice to help you develop your sense of, feeling the other person's key.
Yes.
Whether it works on the street or not is an entirely different matter.
Mhm. Does anybody have a way that they've taught this technique that they felt was particularly effective for making it a higher percentage technique on the street?
What I would probably do to make it more effective is, and I think you mentioned the other day, is once you get his arm up, I would probably bring my right arm up under either my right hand up under his elbow or my right arm across under his elbow, or it could theoretically even be under his armpit. And as I bring the arm out and down, I would pivot my left foot back.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make it probably a more effective technique.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So using an elbow strike.
No, I'm not using an elbow strike.
Okay, when you bring that hand up underneath the elbow.
Oh, you could, you could, yeah. But you could also, rather than just making a strike when you come up, just give it as you're ready to do the third, just give it a slight lift.
Gotcha, okay. Or an elbow strike or an elbow lift. That's a good idea.
Yeah, a quick lift, but you gotta be, okay. The reason I wouldn't do a strike, the reason I'd make body contact first is I want to know where that elbow is, so when I push up, I've got full body contact already.
Gotcha.
Full arm contact.
Gotcha.
The other reason is if I come up with a hit, there's a remote chance that I could end up dislocating the elbow.
Mm-hmm.
The throw would still work, but
The only thing we found in our dojo that we could make work that made this more street effective was to instead of making it a linear technique where we have this and everything's happening in front of us from left to right, is we do that juju, we push down. When we sense the resistance, we bring up, and then instead of just bringing them up in front of us, step under, rotate, and pull them down, so that we actually take his right arm over our body, and we turn it into what they used to call in the 1950s, they call it a spinner.
Shoulder locker team. Thank you, Mr. Jones, Dr. Jones.
That's it.
There he is.
There you go, shoulder locker. They're the key in any technique is you always want your attacker to end up at your feet.
Yes.
And I know some techniques are taught, where you throw the person off into the sunset.
George, we actually have a question here from Finland. We will ask you.
Just a moment. But if you throw him off into the sunset and he can do a good fall, he's going to come back and attack you. If you bring him down to your feet, you still have control of him.
Yes.
And besides, you don't want to, Jujitsu is a lazy man's martial art. So you don't want to have to go chasing after your attacker. Anyway, yes, Johnny.
Yeah, Martin, tule tänne, Martin.
I know different cultures have different, what's called, I can't think of the term now, space between people.
Social distancing?
Social distancing, yeah. Right now in the U.S. is 6 feet. Different cultures have different social distancing limits. In the U.S., normally it's about 2-3 feet. I know, having worked with kids from different ethnicities and at the high school, it took me a while to adjust the fact that for them, normal social distancing was right in your face. But if you're in a street situation, you need to have space between you. If they get that close to you, there really isn't that much you're going to be able to do. I've seen some situations like the one that Joni mentioned where they grab you with one hand and come at you with a knife, where you actually, once they grab you, you just do we call a wrist lock takedown right away. And that will usually keep them from extending the knife. Plus you're stepping back because you've been attacked. And someone grabs you, usually they're going to do something else. You have to make that assumption.
Yes.
And I've seen also where they do their, and the other hand just automatically is a downward block in case there's something coming at you. It's the same thing. My last year of teaching, we were having some ethnic rivalries at our high school. And the favorite attack of one ethnicity was to grab the other ethnicity person by the shoulder and pull them back around and do a roundhouse punch. And so my kids were asking, what can we do for that? And I'm teaching honors economics. And I said, I can't teach you a technique, but I can teach you what to do, to reduce the chances of getting hit. And so I said, number one, if they tap you on the shoulder, you take a step forward and then turn. If they grab you by the shoulder, as you're pulled around, both your hands come up, walking outwards. And odds are you will block that hit. I didn't get in trouble for that, but somehow it stopped most of the random attacks on campus. But it's you have to be able to anticipate, and that's one of the. I say it's for lack of a better phrase, I think it's a cross we bear as black belts. Is sometimes we are conditioned to respond in certain ways, and 95% of the time it's for our own well-being. Okay. I mean, I've had, I think when I was a lot younger, I got in trouble because my mom went to hit me one day. And I blocked her arm. And that was not, in hindsight, that was not a smart thing to do.
I got a beating for that one day.
But anyway, the point is we learn a lot and it just becomes automatic reaction for us. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So, John, I don't know if I answered your question directly. In most cases, you don't already have a weapon. In many states in the United States, you cannot have, if that's a collapsible baton, there are many states in the US where it's felony possession, including California, because it's considered a concealed weapon.
In Finland, you have to be a self-defense instructor.
Even a kubotan in California, short stick, is considered felony possession because it's a concealed weapon. But if you put a key on it, it now becomes a keychain and it's legal. So it's you. I mean, I do have various implements that I shouldn't. I think I've got an ASP. I've got a couple, 3 collapsible batons, but you can't carry them on you because you're going to get in trouble if you get caught. And so that's why it's called empty-handed self-defense.
Give me a knife.
Can I maybe add something, Sensei?
What do you want? I have something that, well, for me, I always tell my students, if you're in a knife fight, be prepared to get cut. But But I also kind of think it's the intentionality of the attack is a big thing. If you're holding it cradled, knife, yeah, that's what I was asking for. If you're holding it cradled to conceal it, it's more likely, if he's a street guy, if he's a smart street guy, he's not using it to stab, he's using it to cut. He's going to use it to cut and slash. And if he's holding it extended, it's easier to see, although if you hold it back like this a little bit more or down low, it's harder for him to, it's harder for you to see it coming in.
Right.
But the shoulder is often a dead giveaway if he's trying to close with you for some reason. I always consider that a little suspicious. And if he's coming in low with the shoulder movement and trying to close with me, that's the moment where, I would say it's time to do something.
Right.
And if you're coming in, if he's got it like this, his intentionality is not to stab you. Might be if he's coming overhead, which is still pretty easy to see, but it's more likely he's coming in to cut or slash. And if he's coming in low like this to try to gut you, his intention is not to just flick the knife at you, it's to actually make a penetrating thrust. And the idea, our street kids come in and they basically block you like this and close with you, and then they just bring it up and gut you.
Yeah, game over.
And the idea is, if they can get the knife in, like if it's coming up underneath, and that's your key, is getting that stop, stepping outside, coming up like this. And at that point, you got him in a lock. You can just disarm at that point. So that's how I would respond to that. But then the other side of it is if he's coming more overhead and he's got the weapon extended, then very often, just moving it in, redirecting it, getting out of the way is the attack. I mean, I don't mean to be presumptuous or anything. I know this is Master Kirby's thing, but
So I think what you initially said, and maybe some people missed, and I do not have a judo background. I have a jujitsu background. But Seki said there are some concepts from judo that you really need to pay attention to, and one is if you keep your eye on the attacker's shoulders.
Exactly. Yeah.
It will tell you what he's going to do.
Yeah,
and you mentioned that.
Say that. Yeah, Ed Parker used to say that all the time.
And that's the key. And I want to thank you for bringing that up, because that's the key, whether they're, wherever they're at, and if, both techniques you showed were appropriate. Anyway, what else can I say about knife attacks? I mean, I've only been in one situation with a knife attack where we had an adult gang member on campus, and he was like 2 doors down from my classroom, and I was part of the school security team before they had a thing called campus police. But there's a long story around that I won't tell. But in any event, his mistake was he was sitting on a rail. And as I came up to him, he started changing the knife from one hand to another. Well, after 2 of those, I just knocked it out of his hand. And then we took him down into, we pinned him down to the ground and waited for LAPD to show up for him. If a knife is you assume with a knife attack, you assume you're going to get cut. That's a given. And you also have to assume in a street situation, you're going to get hit. And when I taught in the junior high, at least once a semester, I'd get hit in the mouth by one of my kids. And the school policy was, because it was a tough school, is that if a kid touched the teacher was required to file felony assault charges on the kid. And if the kid hit me, it's like you saw the look of fear in his eyes. And I said, look, this is a jiu-jitsu class. You signed a release. I signed a release. It's okay. It's a learning experience for me. I should have blocked better. anyway, so, you know, but you have to assume, I would tell and I've told my students, if you've never been hit in the face, you're missing a really serious learning opportunity.
Jump up on the chairs.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm not saying go out and get hit in the face, but, but you know, once it's happened, it's not as big a deal the second time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Anyway, let's see. We got Paul. Has it gotten dark there, Paul?
Yeah, it's now the sun is going down, so we are ready for night now. I was just going to say when we're teaching our guys defense against a knife, we always say when you block, use the back of the hand to block. If you block this way around, you can get all these vital things cut. So we always would teach them block this way. So then from there we can get into further defense from the knife, because a knife, you know, as I said to everybody earlier, we have quite a lot of violent crime in South Africa, a lot of armed robberies happening. So we are acutely aware of our surrounding. I think that's kind of like how we've had to adapt where we are. So when we're giving instruction on defense against knife or defense against gun, it's because that is a reality in our country. And so we want people to understand that when that knife comes, you've got to offer the thing that you don't mind getting cut, so that you can then finish your defense in whichever way you're going to do that.
And I think, and we need to close up here, I think you brought up another very important point, that with a knife attack, you always want to be blocking with the back part of your hand and arm. Yeah.
Not that it's not the parts you don't mind getting cut, because I think everybody minds getting cut, but
this
the parts that you can survive.
Getting cut.
Yes, that's right. The parts that you can survive, yes.
Far more serious. And yeah. Okay. Anybody have a last word before we
Oh no, thanks. It's been a great opportunity to
I
interface
think
with you folks.
Okay.
I really appreciate the invite.
Thank you for.
It's been
setting
awesome.
this up.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's been a great learning experience.
Okay.
Bye.
And if you have a topic for the next one, I'd like to do one maybe every second or third Saturday in the future. If you have a topic, let me know. I'm thinking of doing a one hour thing on maybe on Jushin. It's kind of like Tai Chi, but it's Jujitsu. Which for those of you who have your own private dojo, it might be another way to make money.
Yes.
And for the rest of us, it's just simply exercise. But in any case, but if you have any ideas, send me an email. And I'm trying to read your T-shirt, Dave.
My shirt, this shirt,
With enough?
with enough thrust, pigs fly just fine.
Yes, you do.
Sweetie, can I have that? Thank you.
Better said than done.
Especially if you twist their tail. Anyway.
I would love to be able to contact everybody that was present tonight. Is the way we can get everyone's emails, or how could we go about doing that?
Okay, would you like me to send everyone's email address, or?
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Please, that would
Yes,
be
please.
awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. Since
Yes.
it's a-
Kirby,
That would be fantastic.
I think that the Zoom invite, it showed me everyone's email when I got the Zoom
Let me,
invite.
because everybody that signed up isn't here. So let me take attendance. We got Joni and Bob, Paul, Lonnie. No Lonnie? Nope. Irvin didn't show up. Danny
yes,
there, so to speak.
and Paul.
Gary? No Gary? Nope. Dave?
I don't know what that is.
David? Is there a David here? Dave? No David?
Nothing.
And Paul? Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Hold on to that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who am I missing? Will Harris. That's I didn't have. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. let
My
me-
screen shows Galaxy Tab A for the
That's
lower.
funny. Galaxy Tab A is funny.
Pardon?
Galaxy Tab A with Yoni. I didn't know how to put my name, but that's Yoni Rasmussen.
Okay. Yeah. I have you down, Johnny.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll send everyone's email address, and
Awesome.
I'll see how the video looks, and if it's small enough, I'll make it available. I'll see if I can put it on Hightail and have a link for that, and you can download it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hope you have a
Thank you.
nice day.
For everybody.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Good morning, in our case.